A success? What is a success? So today I want to talk to you about success. Now, there are many different kinds of success, but what we're going to talk about is financial success, since it's the one that most closely relates to sales, although you will find that they're very much intermingled, the different kinds of success. So let's talk about first what financial success means to you. Do you know what your number is? For instance, how do you know when you're going to reach your goal if you don't know what your number is that you associate with financial success? For some people, it's $1 million. Others, it's $1 billion. Some people just want to break six figures. I remember when 10,000 was a lot to me. So it's important that you know what your numbers are so that you know when you get there. But more importantly, you want to know what is holding you back from reaching those numbers. Have you ever thought of that? Have you ever thought of exactly why you're not getting where you need to go? Besides that no one else is cooperating with your vision, but why within you you're not getting where you want to go? So there's something called limiting beliefs. And a limiting belief is any belief that doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your purpose. So we've got beliefs. Some of them help us. Some of them hold us back. And our beliefs were created when we were very, very young, in our developmental years and through our whole life, mostly before you even remember them happening. As an adult, you become more aware and you start to choose your beliefs as before they become part of you, but you still have new beliefs that you develop as an adult. So we have all these beliefs. And the one thing about, beliefs is that they're not set in stone. Right? You could believe one thing one day and then you could change it the next day. You could believe the earth is flat and then decide it's round. You could think there's a planet called Pluto and then decide, no planet called Pluto. Get rid of that. So your beliefs can change. So understand that as strongly as you believe them and as strong as they are true for you, you've had your own experiences where you believe something one day and then you believe something else the next day. And the possibility that they can change again is there because beliefs change, and that's why everyone has different opinions about things. Your beliefs, though, most of them were not created by you. Most of them were taught to you by your parents, your teachers, society, movies, friends. All of these have influences on us and create our beliefs. Our beliefs create the foundation for who we are. So I'll give you for instance, we're talking about why we might not be reaching our financial goals for success. What mindsets might be holding us back. So for instance, you might have a belief that rich people are greedy, or rich people they must have to have lied to get to where they are. And these are pretty common thoughts because even if you look at the characters of the movies you grew up with, the rich people were always the bad guys. Even Daddy Warbucks until he finally changed at the end, but he was a bad guy in the beginning. So rich people are bad, rich people are evil, they're greedy. And so these are supported by our society and may even be, have you ever heard the term money is the root of all evil? So if you have that kind of belief in you, whether you're aware of it or not, maybe this is the first time I made you aware of that's a belief that you hold. No matter what you do, no matter what actions you take to try to get somewhere, you're not going to reach it because subconsciously you'll hold yourself back because you don't want to be associated with those negative terms. You don't want to be greedy, and you don't see yourself as greedy. You don't want to be mean, the bad guy. You don't see yourself that way. So there's no way you can align yourself with the word rich and who you are. They won't come together if those are the beliefs that you hold. Now, like we said, the great thing about beliefs is that they can change, and you have the power to change them. But how? How do you change a belief that you decide is not serving you? And one that you may have had for 30 or more years, guiding you and guiding your decisions. Well, before we go into that, let's talk about some of the consequences of having beliefs that aren't serving you. Your beliefs determine your thoughts. So, for instance, if something happens, you digest it. Your beliefs determine how you react to it, okay? So if you, let's say we'll take the example of getting cut off in traffic. If you believe that it's a dog eat dog world out there, everyone has to fend for him or herself, then when that person cuts you off, something happens outside of you, you internalize it, your beliefs determine what your thoughts will be. So then what springs from your belief is your thought, and your thought then is, goddamn son of a bee, the guy cut me off, I have to get him back, right? Because it's dog eat dog, I have to get him back. And then your beliefs determine your thoughts determine your emotions, right? So you've got this belief, it turns into a thought, the thought triggers the emotion, you become angry, and then finally the combination of all those determine your actions. So then your action might be to try to cut that guy off again, or maybe give him the finger, I don't know, something like that. So I've kind of broken up the process of when something happens externally, how you digest it internally, and then how it becomes real action in your life. Now these triggers happen constantly, all day long, very, very quickly. You're not aware of it unless you're really slowing down time in your mind. That's a whole other topic. But when you slow it down like that and you can see how a belief has triggered an action that you might necessarily not even want representing you. Logically, you might say, but I'm a nice person. Nice people don't give the finger. But it was totally justified in that situation. That's how beliefs or beliefs that aren't serving you can hurt you in the long run. And so in business, in sales, subconsciously, you end up taking actions based on beliefs you don't even know you have, because there's no other way to respond if you're not aware. So then the first step is to be aware. They say enlightenment is, now you might think enlightenment has nothing to do with sales because people have definitely torn the two apart. But we're talking about success and spirituality definitely blend. And so then financial success also blends with those. So there's a saying that enlightenment, one definition of it is knowing what you're doing, when you're doing it, and why you're doing it. So when you give someone the finger because they cut you off, understanding what you did, why you did it, while you're doing it. So it's not an afterthought. In the beginning, it's an afterthought, right? When you first start thinking about these things, it's like, oh, I just gave someone the finger. Let me examine myself and see why I did that. That's the first step. But ultimately, the goal is to get to the point where while you're doing it, you understand you're doing it so you can stop. So you can stop it. So it's being present. It's being totally in the moment. So the first step is to be aware. So be aware of what you're doing while you're doing it, and then ask the question, why am I doing this? And the why goes back to what your beliefs are. And then you can determine, based on your ultimate actions, you can determine if the belief is serving you or holding you back? Is it getting you closer to where you want to be as a person, personally and professionally? Or is it holding you back? And then what you do is what I call gathering evidence. So when these beliefs were created, and when they were created, you subconsciously gathered evidence to support that belief. So it became solidified in you. You found examples in your life where that was true, whether it be a movie and the bad guy was, the rich guy was the bad guy, or in your own life, you knew someone who was, wealthy and was not generous. So you gather evidence to support that belief because the ego inside of you needs to have that structure and solidify it. So what you can do is reverse engineer the process. And then now you can decide, no, you know what? That belief isn't serving me. There must be another way to think about this. What if rich people were generous? Or what if rich people were kind? What if I believed that? And logically, that might make sense to you, but in your body, if it's not a true belief, your actions won't reflect it. So then you gather evidence. So then instead of looking for reasons why rich people are mean, you can look for examples in your life or in the world where rich people are generous. For instance, Bill Gates gives tons of money to charity. A lot of rich people are very, very generous, and the more money you have, the more you can give. So the second step is to go out, and the first step is to be aware. Second step is to decide on a new belief that will serve you. The third is to gather evidence about that belief. And then finally is constantly checking yourself. Whenever you hear that old belief, or what my father calls in his book, the tapes in your head that are on auto repeat, that are guiding you. It's like a robot, right? Like the tape told me to do it. I did not give him the finger. The tape told me to do it. So you can change that tape. And so then you've got to record a new tape. And the recording that tape takes a while. It doesn't happen in an instant. The awareness happens in an instant, but replacing the old patterns with new patterns takes a little bit longer. So then it becomes, being aware of when that old belief, springs its ugly head. My coach calls it gremlins, when those gremlins come out, and then gathering evidence and replacing those limiting beliefs with serving beliefs. Okay. So I hope that helps bring some awareness as to, why no matter what financial goals you set, what your definition of financial success is, why no matter what you do, you might be holding yourself back subconsciously by taking actions that are subconsciously limiting you. So be present, not only with yourself, but this is going to help you in a sales situation to be present and aware. Once you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, while you're doing it, you'll understand why your customers do what they do, when they do it, and why they do it, right? You'll be aware of what beliefs are triggering their actions because you've got knowledge of yourself. Know thyself, Shakespeare said. So know thyself, and that's how you learn how to know other people. People often ask me, what's the trick to emotional intelligence? How do I learn that? You learn emotional intelligence by examining and understanding your own belief structure and how they trigger your emotions and ultimately turn into actions. So please take that with you. Take it with you in your life. And then once you've mastered yourself, then you can start, examining other people and understanding with empathy, because now you've been there, so you can understand why they're where they are. Then with empathy, you can understand where your client is. And we talked in another lesson about, what's the F test, how many Fs, right? And so you need to know what your client's perspective is, and that's exactly how you do it. And when you are there, when you are aware, you become a better listener and you become a better servant to your client, understanding exactly what they need and what is motivating them. So that is your lesson on a success. So go out and have a success. See you in the next lesson.